Hello children. Now in continuation of the previous class of how to prepare a saturated solution, we will be applying that concept in a technique which is called as osmosis. Okay. Now osmosis is derived from a Greek word which means pushing. Okay. Osmosis means pushing. Okay. Right. Now in order to perform this experiment, we need certain raw materials. Okay. So these are called as materials required. Now the materials which are required for this is one raw potato, one beaker or a bowl. Okay. In this case we have taken a bowl, water, 2 pins and a sharp knife. Okay. Now let us see how these are useful. A raw potato is actually acting as a membrane. Okay. Plasma membrane. Okay. We'll learn that as we go further in the experiment. Then we have a beaker or a bowl. So in this case we have taken a bowl which contains water in it, and then water, then 2 pins to know how to mark on the potato. Okay. And then a sharp knife. Obviously you know the use of a knife, we cut a potato. Okay. Right. Now going to the further into the explanation. Now we take a raw potato and then we peel off the skin. Okay. So we take a raw potato. As you can see here in this image, we have taken a raw potato and then we have peeled off the entire skin. Okay children. Alright. Now then we have cut that potato into cube shaped cups as shown in the picture. So we have cut the potato using the sharp knife, and then we have cut it into a cube, and then in that we have made a small cup sized hole. Okay children. Now you might remember that we have prepared a saturated solution. Now what I do is I take that saturated solution and pour the solution in the potato cup. Okay. And when I am pouring it, I am making sure that I am pouring it to a certain level, and I am using a pin and I am marking the level. As you can see in this picture here, I am marking the level using a pin. Okay children. Now when I am marking the level, I am piercing the pin. It's as simple as that. So that is why we need a pin. Okay. Then keep the potato in the bowl and pour water in the bowl as shown in the picture. So I have taken a bowl, in that water is there, and I dip that potato cube into that water bowl. Okay. Now here one important thing you need to understand is you should not immerse the entire potato cup into the water. There has to be a gap. As you can see here, there is a gap between the potato cup and the water. Okay. Right. Now why is that? Why is that gap required? Now that gap is required in order to see whether this potato membrane, now I'll call it as a potato membrane. Now whether this membrane is allowing water inside or it is allowing water outside. Okay. Right. Now here the concept of solution which is entering into or solution which is coming out will come into picture. Okay children. Now you have to leave the setup as it is for half an hour. Okay. Depending upon the size of the potato you take. Okay. Then let's go to the next slide. Now we go to the observation. So every experiment will have an observation. Okay. Right. Now we observed that water has moved towards the sugar solution. That means what? Water has entered. So there is water here. Okay. And it has entered into the potato cup. Okay. Or into the sugar solution which is there in the potato cup. Okay. Right. Okay children. Now once we come to the observation. Okay. Now we observed that water has moved towards the sugar solution. Okay. So water has moved from outside, that is from outside to into the sugar solution. Okay children. Now this movement is basically called as osmosis. Okay. Now let us see the definition for osmosis. Now the water has moved from a region of low concentration to a region of high sugar concentration. So osmosis basically is what? The movement of the water from a region of low sugar concentration to a region of high sugar concentration. So that is basically what is osmosis. Okay, children. Now, this movement across the membrane, that is the potato membrane, is called as osmosis. Okay, so this movement across the membrane is called as osmosis. Okay, now this image, as you can see here, okay, this image which you see here, I have raisins in the water. Okay, this is basic water, tap water. Okay, and you can see that the raisins have swollen here. Now you know what raisins are. Raisins means kishmish. Okay, right? Raisins means kishmish. Okay, now what I have done is I have taken few raisins. I have taken 3 raisins and I have put them into the water. Okay, and when I leave it for some time, okay, when I leave it for say a couple of hours, okay, I can see that the raisins absorb water. Okay, the raisins will absorb water. So what can we infer from here? We can infer that the water has entered from a region of low concentration to a region of high sugar concentration. Okay, so I'll repeat this for you again. The water has moved from a region of low sugar concentration, that is here, to a region of high sugar concentration, that is present inside the resin. Okay, so that is basically, that is why the resin has swollen. Now similarly, in the potato membrane also, the water has moved from a region of low sugar concentration to a region of high sugar concentration, which is present in the cup. Okay, right? So that is why we put the pins. Okay, so the first pin is useful for marking the initial level of the sugar solution, and then the second pin is used to mark the final level of the sugar solution. Okay, children. Now, in this also, we don't have to mark it. It is easier way to find out that water has entered into the solution, okay, or into the resins. Okay, right? Now, there can be instances where water can enter into the resin and also water can move out of the resin. Okay, now those two processes, that is osmosis, is of 2 types, endosmosis and exosmosis. Okay, so these 2 types we will be discussing in the next class. Okay, children, thank you.